Welcome to the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, the show that puts the spotlight on the incredible women who fuel the world of motorsports. From drivers to crew members, engineers to fans, and everyone in between, we're here to celebrate the trailblazers, dreamers, and doers shaping the sport we love. Each episode, we share inspiring stories of females of all ages from every corner of the motorsports universe, past, present, and future. It's a journey through the seasons of life filled with heartfelt moments, laughter, and a whole lot of horsepower. So, whether you're a lifelong fan, a racer yourself, or simply curious about the extraordinary women behind the wheel, settle in, relax, and enjoy a fun and uplifting ride with us. This is the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, connecting and celebrating women in motorsports, one story at a time. Let's hit the track. Promoting a track takes heart, and now showing appreciation can be just as easy. With send-out cards, you can thank sponsors, volunteers, drivers, and fans with personalized digital cards sent right from your phone or laptop. Add a photo, write a message, and hit send. It's that simple. Unlimited sends for just $10 a month. Go to sendoutcards.com/53240. That's sendoutcards.com/53240 because gratitude builds great tracks. Hello, everyone. This is Melinda Russell with the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. And my guest today is Charlotte Traynor. And Charlotte comes to us from the Southwest. And I'm going to let her tell us where that is and a little bit more about herself. So, Charlotte, I want to welcome you to the show. And would you first start by telling us a little about yourself so we can get to know you better?
Yes, hello, and thank you so much for having me. So, my name's Charlotte Traynor. I'm 18 years old, and I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. So, I'm a race car driver. I've been racing for about 5 years now. So, I'm just trying to, become a professional in that category. And I graduated high school early. So, now I have kind of all my time as a 18-year-old to get to try to focus on racing and, making a living off of it.
Yeah, that's exciting, and I love hearing that. And we talked a little before the show started that I am pretty familiar with the Phoenix area, as most people know. My youngest two daughters live out there, and I come out there a lot, but I haven't ever been to a racetrack other than the one in Avondale, the NASCAR track. It seems like whenever I come out there, they're not racing. It's too hot or it's the break or whatever it is. And so the racing season in Phoenix is a little different, I feel, than most places. So remind me, I want to talk about that too. But um, let's start first with how did you get involved in motorsports?
So my start in motorsports is a bit different, I would say, than most people. I do not come from a racing family. So I have no connection to motorsports like in that way. My dad was a pilot, my grandpa was a pilot, my sister is a pilot. So it's like I come from this family of like aviators, and for some odd reason, I don't know, I'm just like the ground loving one of the family. But I started in motorsports a bit later when I was around 13 years old. And it was just from like watching it on TV. Like we would always watch, NASCAR, Formula One, IndyCar, and even though like nobody in my family raced, we still loved it. And we actually had like dirt bikes. We were a little bit in like the motocross scene kind of. Like I'd say when I was like 10 to 13 years old because our neighbors were huge on motocross. So they kind of got us into I guess motorsports through that way. So I actually rode dirt bikes for a little while when I was, a young 10, year old. But yeah, I would just watch, NASCAR and Formula One on TV, and it's like when they would show the in-car cameras and like the driver's point of view, I don't know, it was like a switch or something that just clicked on in my brain, and I was like, that looks like so much fun. I have to do that. Like it just looks so cool. Like as a kid, I was like, holy cow, can I actually do this? Like, how do I become a race car driver? I don't know why. I was just so fascinated with it. So I looked it up and I, looked up all these things about, how you can become a race car driver. And the first thing it kind of said was like, well, start with go-karting. So I was like, hey, Dad, I kind of want to, try this out. And obviously, he didn't really know what to do because he's not a racer. He doesn't come from racing at all. So he was like, okay. We just went to an indoor go-karting center, like kind of where they go for birthday parties and stuff like that. And I really took to it. Like, I really enjoyed it. It was something that I was actually decent at. I didn't have too many things as a kid that I like really liked and things that like clicked for me. And it's like that was one of them. So that like surprised me and I really liked it and I was good at it. So sure enough, my dad and I we bought like a professional go-kart that you can, race. And we did that for like about 5 years, I'd say. And now, I'm moving up and taking the step up into cars. So last year was my first year racing cars. So now I'm just going along with that journey.
Charlotte, you say that you're different from your family, but not really, because if they're flying, they're in the speed, that's kind of a
Yeah.
speed thing.
Yeah,
They're,
I mean, my
you're on
sister
the ground.
has, yeah, she's always been obsessed with like fighter jets and stuff. So I'm like, okay, you can conquer the air and I'll conquer the ground.
Yeah, that's a good plan. You got every area covered, right?
Exactly.
Somebody has to race boats or something.
Oh my gosh, maybe my brother. I can get him into racing something
Well,
exotic.
there's some people I know that race boats out in like by near Lake Havasu and other places. So,
Yeah, yeah. I have friends that race like jet skis up there, and
uh-huh.
like it's honestly sometimes more insane than cars. Like
It
they're just
it really
crazy.
kind of is, I think.
Yeah.
It really is. So you mentioned a brother and a sister. Is there three of you in the family? Three kids?
Yes,
Yeah.
there is. So
Eh,
I'm a middle child. I have an older sister who's 21, and then my younger brother is 16.
Okay. All right. So you have the middle child syndrome. So
Yes,
that's
I do.
okay. All right. I'm the youngest of three daughters that my parents had. So I was the baby, and I always hear about that for sure still. And I'm in my 60s. So that's how that goes. Um, so Charlotte, what kind of car are you racing? Where are you racing? Tell me all about that.
So the car that I'm racing now is a Mazda MX-5 Cup car. When I started racing cars, I started in a spec Miata, and then we kind of like moved up because Mazda Motorsports they have a really accessible ladder for someone that's wanting to get into car racing for a relatively inexpensive price. Because obviously a kid's dream is to kind of go in the open wheel world and stuff like that, but it's way too expensive for me. Like that's out of the budget. So, Mazda Motorsports has a really good pathway for go-karters trying to step up to cars. They have like a spec Miata, spec MX-5, and then MX-5 Cup, and it's kind of like different levels
Hmm.
and a relatively inexpensive way to get into the sport. So I started in a spec Miata last year driving, had some decent results and success in that, which was great. So I kind of like moved up and through some connections that we have here in Arizona, we were able to purchase a MX-5 Cup car and just kind of dabble in that series a little bit. And I say dabble is because we're only running 3 of those races this year. I think the calendar, gosh, I don't know how many races. I think it might have like 12 races total over the course of like 6 weekends. So it's like they're all combined. Don't quote me on that. I need to
That
check the
sounds about right,
schedule.
though. Yeah.
Yeah, make sure. But so we're running a part time season in the MX5 Cup series. And it's part time because if you run 3 races, that's like the most you can run in order to be eligible for Rookie of the Year next year in that series. And the special thing about the Mazda MX-5 Cup series is that its payouts are incredible. It has incredible payouts for the drivers, for the females in the series. The highest finishing female gets like $2,000 per race, and the Rookie of the Year gets 100 grand. So, and the championship winner, if you win the overall championship, you get 250 grand. So
Hmm.
it's like people have become millionaires off racing in that series, and there's really nothing else like it that offers that kind of like cash payback. So we were really drawn to that series, and because our friends from Arizona, they're competing in that series, so they kind of like pulled us in as we were saying like, hey, we want to get into cars. We kind of shadowed them and would
Uh-huh.
follow them around to the Mazda MX-5 Cup races, and then we realized like, hey, we can get into this, and they have a car that we can buy. So we've just been using them for training, and for the races that we do with them. So it's really been like a lucky kind of case scenario to end up with those people to be able to run in that
Yeah.
series.
Do you want to share who they are, or would you rather not?
Yeah, I will. So it's Parker DeLong Racing. It's just him and his dad. So it's a totally like privateer operation almost, which is really difficult. Trying
Yeah.
to run like as a privateer team
Hmm.
against all the huge MX-5 Cup teams like
Yeah.
JTR, BSI, MMR, like it's big. Those
Yeah.
teams have been doing it for years and years, and the MX-5 Cup is like all they know. So to step in, just Parker and his dad, like to do this and to kind of step up and be able to compete with them is just huge. And I mean, they have like last year at Road Atlanta, Parker got second place. Like, and that's huge. You know, you are really swimming with the sharks
Yeah.
in that series. So it's been also really cool to like not only see my development, but like their development as well in that series. So it's super
Hmm.
cool to be a part of. And we're lucky to have come across them because they coached us in go-karts. So it's like he coached me in karting, and then we just kind of like followed them then, you know, when they went to the MX-5 Cup, then we went, you know, a year later. So
So when you go to those races, is I think Sally Mott races that?
yes, she
Have you
does.
met her?
I have. I've met her multiple times. I've met all the girls in the series, so there's a lot more this year, which is incredible. I've met Sally. She's incredible. She's been so
Yeah,
helpful with like all the advice and all the tips that she's given me. She's
she's great.
super talented as well. So it's really cool to get to like share the paddock with her.
Yeah,
There's Heather Hadley, who's
yeah,
also incredibly experienced in that series, and she's so sweet as well.
yeah,
There's Ashlyn Speed, who won the scholarship last year, and is, you know, this is her first year in the Cup Series, so it's super cool to talk with her. Like we're both kind of the new faces, so that's cool. And then there's another girl, Mighty Caceres. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but she's from Uruguay, I think, and she's incredibly nice as well. She
yeah,
did like some of the open wheel stuff. I think she has experience in that and like the F1 Academy. So she was super nice from the brief chat that I got with her. So it's really cool to like have
yeah.
more girls getting into that series and
Uh-huh.
kind of have that community. It's super cool just to get to share the paddock and the track with them.
Yeah. So did you watch the movie or
The
documentary
first to
that
the
they did?
finish, yes, I did. I did watch it. It's cool. It's like it's crazy. Who would have thought that, you know, Mazda, the MX-5 Cup would be getting, you know, this
Yeah,
series kind of following it. It's just it's crazy, but it's so cool to see. Like that
yeah,
series has grown so much,
yeah.
and the viewers that it gets now, the popularity, like it's completely deserved. Like the racing in
Right.
that series is like no other.
I
It's
know.
so entertaining. Like the last lap, people will be going like five wide through the dirt. Someone's off
Hmm.
there, someone's spinning out. So it's super entertaining, and it deserves like all the hype
It
and the buzz that it's
it
getting.
deserves more promotion, and I
Yeah,
don't think it gets near
100%.
enough. It gets overshadowed by some of the bigger series, but the
Yeah,
racing is unbelievable, and I think Connor Zilisch raced in that series a little bit
he
too.
did. He did. And that's a thing that they bring up a lot is like the drivers that kind of go through the MX-5 Cup, you can just go in anything else and be fast.
Yeah.
Because the MX-5 Cup, and that's why we see, you know, Connor Zilisch is so good, and kids like Tyler Gonzalez
Uh-huh.
and Nathan Nicholson, and all these, you know, incredible drivers that go off and then they drive other things. Like they're so talented.
They
And
are.
it's because the MX-5 Cup is such a good like starting ground, and the
Mhm.
car is so tricky to like get a grasp on and drive.
Yep.
The series is so competitive. So it's really like you have everything thrown at you. And then when you get in, you know, an LMP2 car or a GT car or something like that, it's like the car does the work for you. And
Yeah.
it's everything's, you know, at least in my opinion, and I feel like I can say that too from driving different things. It's like nothing is as hard as the MX-5 Cup car,
Yeah.
and the racing and the car itself, it's really tricky. So if you can perform there, you can perform almost anywhere.
Yeah, and it's road course racing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, it
and
is.
so that's one reason he's so good on road courses.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure. He definitely has that, you know, kind of one up on everyone. And even
yeah,
in ovals too. Like, I
right.
mean, he's been insane everywhere he goes. And obviously it's, you know, raw talent, but I feel like it's also, you know, part of the development that the MX-5 Cup brings, you know? Oop. Hello?
I'm sorry. I don't know what happened all of a
It's
sudden.
okay, it's okay. I'm like, "Oh, am I alone?"
Yeah, you were alone for a little bit. So, sorry about that. So, yeah, I love seeing these series that make it easier to get started because, I mean, all sports can be expensive, but you know, if you're a football player, you're not buying your own footballs and equipment, right?
Yeah,
They're paying you.
exactly.
They're paying you to do all that, and to get into motorsports, you've got to bring some money or some sponsors normally, and so it's a whole different model of business and things, and so you know we've got to make it more affordable for people to get started, or you know, unless you're young and your parents are millionaires, it's really hard to get into it. So I love that you're
100%.
doing that.
Yeah, and it's really tricky because it's like it's so tough. You see so many kids, and I know so many kids that I know if they got in a car or if they got the chance, they would just be incredible, but they don't get the chance because they don't
Hmm.
have the funding. So
Right.
that's one of the huge things that I do want to do one day is somehow get, more kids, give more talented kids a chance, like it's it sucks how this sport has kind of sometimes just become like overshadowed by the people
Mhm.
that have money, and now it's like money over talent, which is
Yeah.
really unfortunate. And, it doesn't even make the racing as good because then
No.
you have more kids and people crashing cars because they don't really know how to drive as well as, maybe someone else that
Right.
can't afford to go in the series.
Yeah.
So, one day that would be like a dream of mine to like create some sort of foundation or something that gives, young, talented kids a chance who wouldn't really have a chance, anywhere else.
Yeah. I love that idea for you as well because I mean, we can't say that everybody that's in the top series come from money, but if you most of them, most of them do. A lot of them do. And so, you know, not nothing against those people because I'll tell you the NASCAR teams and those three series, they have a lot of extremely talented racers. But I know there's just as many probably that are out there that are winning at a local level who could compete in a NASCAR series or whatever, and they just don't get the chance. And that's the sad part. But you know, that's true in football. That's true in football, baseball, everything else. You know,
Yeah.
you think of
Uh,
all the little league teams that play during the summer, and then how many get to really be professional baseball players. It's
yeah.
tough. It's really tough to do. So yeah, for sure. So now, where do you race most of the time, Charlotte?
So I race, I would say we've kind of been moving more out east. When I
Okay.
first started like in cars and in go-karts, it was all kind of out west. Like we would go out to California, Buttonwillow, Willow Springs. There's a decent amount of tracks in Arizona as well, like road course tracks, not just the, oval. So
Hmm.
we kind of, just race on the West Coast. But now kind of the more we step up and the bigger it gets, lots of the racing is all on the East Coast. So we've been traveling out east a lot, just going to lots of different tracks like Birmingham, Alabama. I was just in Daytona,
Yeah.
Virginia. So it started west and now it's like transitioning to the east because that's where racing is. Honestly,
Right.
like that's where everything is. That's where the hub is. So
Hmm.
definitely like the more I go on with this, the more I'm gonna kind of see myself out there.
Yeah.
But
So now, who travels with you when you go to the races? How do you get your car there and all that?
normally it's my dad. So one of the past races that we did in the MX-5 Cup, my first one at Barber, we drove our MX-5 Cup car all the way from Phoenix to Birmingham, Alabama, all the way across the country.
It's a
So it's a
long
lot
way.
of work. Yeah, it's a lot of work. And it just shows, I feel like, how much work and effort that really goes into trying to become a professional race car driver. Like,
Hmm.
I feel like it just flies over people's heads and they don't realize, like, how much work you actually put in. And when we're not driving, now we kind of keep our car on the East Coast because that's where we are the most. And it's too hot to train in Arizona in the summer. So
Sure.
it's really, it's no use keeping it here when the days are
No.
just like 105 degrees and you can't
No.
really go drive.
No.
So we just keep it out east. and then we just fly out east because my dad's a pilot, it's actually really easy to fly because
Yeah,
we can just, if the flights are open, we can just hop on. So
right.
that is a bonus. It is actually really easy to get out there.
Yeah.
And normally me and him, we just go out and then we have people that are part of the team that kind of like drive our car to wherever we're going. So like if we're going to Alabama or if we're going to Atlanta, they'll just, drive it out there and we'll just,
Yeah.
spend the day
Okay.
practicing or preparing for a race.
All right. Yeah, you're lucky that your dad's a pilot. That works out good for you. Not
Yeah.
many not many drivers have that advantage for sure. Yeah. So, Charlotte, what is the thing that was the hardest for you to learn when you were driving a car? What took you the
Ooh.
most time to kind of master?
I think honestly, just being able to let things go and have almost like a short-term memory. Because sometimes I would get too caught up over things and stuck on things. Like, let's say you have a bad start or someone hits you. I would get so flustered in the moment. And I feel like racing cars, it's really taught me how to like keep my cool and how to really like forget what just happened in the past corner because it's hard. It's
It is
hard to like
hard.
get past if you get spun out or you make a mistake, and it's so easy to like beat yourself up over the little things.
Mhm.
But it really made me realize like that's not going to get me anywhere. Like you really, as a race car driver, you almost have to have like this short term memory and just keep focusing forward. And I
Yeah.
feel like it kind of that's a good thing on life too. It kind of gives you like that one up on having that in life as well, but that was
Yeah.
definitely took me a little bit to learn, and it's tricky. It's tricky to not beat yourself up over, like, the little things, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Well, it's happened, I can't change it, I can't do anything about it, so, I just gotta move forward."
That I think racing and, again, a lot of sports teach us life lessons. And that's one of the things that, might be a life lesson that you're learning is, you can't hold on to everything and hold grudges and all that. You have to be forgiving. You have to give people grace and that kind of thing. And I talk to a lot of girls who are very shy, and then once they're into racing, they come out of their shell.
Yeah,
They go from introvert to extrovert. A
yeah.
lot of those things. What else have you learned, do you think, that you can attribute to being a race car driver?
Honestly, I have learned so much, I think, to add on to kinda like the introvert to extrovert, like, racing teaches you how to I feel like it's almost like life. Like, things aren't gonna go your way, you're gonna
Mhm.
have more bad days than good, and it teaches you how to get over things, and not just get
Yeah,
over things, it also teaches you how to represent. Like, as
right,
a race car driver, you're not just your only job isn't just to drive the car fast. Outside of the car, you have to be a spokesperson for yourself. You have to market
right.
for yourself. You have to reach out to people. You have to send emails. You have to do all these things that people don't realize. So it
Right.
really has like brought me out of my shell as well. I was definitely a very shy kid and I got so nervous talking to people and I wasn't really one for conversations with people, but now, like racing, like I realize like I can just go up to anyone and say anything now. Like I'll
Mhm.
go up and I will be the one to initiate the conversation. I will be the one to like send the email when before like I would never do that. But
Right.
now it's really just made me into like a spokesperson and an extrovert because that's what you need.
Yeah,
You're not if you don't knock on the door, it's never going to be open. So it's
it's
really
true.
taught me that as well, and I feel like that's just so valuable for
Yeah.
getting through life is, like, learning how to represent yourself, who you are as a person,
Mhm.
kinda, like, build a brand for yourself too.
Yeah,
So it's incredible, like, all the things that
yeah.
racing teaches you and you don't even realize, and then you look back at yourself a few years ago and you're like, "Wow, I really have, like, grown not just as a driver, but as a person?"
Mhm. Yeah. That's so true, and I'm glad you said that because, you know, a lot of girls and their parents even don't realize that there's a lot of benefits to being in motorsports that you can't put your finger on before you start. And every person's different. Every person isn't going to grow up or change how they are. But overall, I hear it so often that all the things that motorsports has changed for the good in a young woman. So I love hearing that. Now, do you have marketing partners, or is this more of a, you pay as you go?
Well, right now it's I pay as I go. That's one of the things that I'm working on right now just like putting together sponsorship packets and putting together all these deals and, trying to go up to people. And so that is my project, I would say, at the moment, and it's something, once again, that I'm learning how to do. It's like, I've never put together a sponsorship packet before this. I have no idea what I'm doing, but you
Mm-hmm.
just have to kind of go along with things. And I do have, a few people helping me out. We do have, a few like sponsor stickers on the car, that just sometimes help with like some of the prices, whether it's like fuel or like your helmet
Right.
or tires. But I'm definitely like in the process of trying to get myself out there more, get
Yeah.
more sponsors, kind of like grow your brand on social media as well. Because
Yes.
that's been a huge tool for drivers these days. So I'm like, well, if you kind of get yourself out there on social media, that's just going to open so many more doors for
Mm-hmm.
you. And I have talked to like multiple professional drivers in the past, like these NASCAR drivers that one of them, she gave me advice and she was like, the first thing that this team asked me when I was going to sign for them wasn't how many wins do you have, it's how many followers do you have, and then how many wins do you have. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
crazy because it's like that is how motorsports has changed. And it's like if you have that online presence and that it's very clear that you can bring something to the team that's not just driving, like they will want you.
Right.
So that's been another huge thing that I've kind of been like working on, is just growing that like online presence. So then like the more people know you, the more you get yourself out there. It's like that's how you're going to find opportunities too.
Absolutely. And another thing that you're going to want to grow is your email list.
Yeah,
So
100%.
I had over 10,000 followers on a Facebook page, and 2 years ago it got hacked and I lost them all.
No. Oh
Oh,
man.
first I cried.
No, I
Then
would
I
too.
was
I would like be bawling. Oh
then
my
I was so
gosh.
mad. I was so mad because there was no monetary reason for somebody to hack my Facebook page. They're not going to make a penny off of it. And I was just so angry that somebody, just for meanness, they were just being mean. I mean, that's how I looked at it. And
Yeah, that's
so
so frustrating.
I still am trying, I'm still trying to grow it back, but I haven't really concentrated on that. Charlotte, I've grown my email list. I have over 7,000 email addresses.
Oh wow.
I own those.
Yeah.
I Nobody can take those away from me.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
that to me is such a bonus that I learned the hard way. I'll go back and get my followers back eventually. In fact, I was able recently to get on my old Facebook page through a back door, kind of, not as an admin, but I was able to see all the followers
Yeah.
where before I couldn't see them. And so I printed it. It
Yeah.
was 70 some pages of names, 5 or 6 names to a page. I printed it, and I'm going to eventually reach out to everyone and try to get them to follow me again. But that's in my spare time, which, who has spare time, right?
Yeah,
Nobody.
seriously.
Yeah. So anyway, but grow an email list. I would really encourage you to do that. Um, so you don't work on the car because it's out east and you're out west. And so that's okay. A lot of them don't, a lot of young gals or even guys don't work on their car. If you ask a
Well,
NASCAR driver,
when it was here in Arizona, my dad and I, we would work on it. And still at the track, I
yeah,
do, because the team that we're with, obviously Parker DeLong, it's just us. So it's
yeah,
like you kind of need all hands on deck.
sure.
So even though I'm not working on the car, like most of the
Mhm.
time, I will help in areas that I do need to help. And obviously, when it was here, just in our garage, my dad and I, we would work on it. We'd change the oil, we'd change the
Yeah,
tires. He makes me work on it. Like he's not gonna let me run off and do other things. Like no, he makes me work on that
that's
stuff.
good.
It was the exact same with go-karts. I was actually a mechanic for a go-karting team like a year ago. I just, I would go to the track when I wasn't racing and I would work on, other kids' go-karts. So I do have a little bit of experience
Okay.
kind of in that. And it's like because we have to. We don't have the extra help.
Right.
So it's all hands on deck.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad to hear that for sure. So now, as a girl racing, and there are a few girls in what you're doing, but even back in the go karts, did you ever feel like you didn't fit in or didn't belong? Did anybody ever treat you like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, well, I knew from the start, like, it was something that I wanted to do, and inside me, I knew that I belonged, but it was definitely hard, I feel like, sometimes to find, like, your clique and, like, people to talk to, like, thank goodness I grew up in Colorado, so that's kinda where I started racing, and I had the best group of friends, like, one of me and my friend, like, we started on the exact same day. It was his first day, and it was my first day in the go-kart, and, our friend group I had a really nice little friend group of, like, what, 5 or 6 of us, that kinda all competed locally together, and I was never treated differently, like, there was no differences, it was just all fun, like, buddy stuff, but kind of like at bigger national go-kart races where people don't really know you, it would you could feel it a little bit, like, people would stare at you or there was a lot of instances where they would treat me differently, like, on track, because obviously in go-karting, you can kinda tell who's a girl and who's not. You can tell that they're smaller in the cart, so smaller must mean easier to push around, so that means I'm just
Hmm.
gonna push you into the barrier. So that did happen at times, and it did get me upset. I would get driven differently, I'd say at the bigger races by lots of people just because they see you and they know, who you are, so they just think that it's okay and nobody's gonna work with you. Nobody's, you're trying to tap the back of your helmet and say like, "Hey, push me, let's work together." Like, but nobody works with you. Nobody does any of that. And just like talking to like all the guys and everyone kind of had their own group, and I'd like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go back to the tent and just kind of look
Yeah.
at my stuff by myself. But I got over it because at the end of the day, like, I didn't really care. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I'm here to do. This is what I want to make. I want to make a career off this, and this is what I'm so passionate about. Like, you cannot take that away from me.
Right.
So it's like all your little egotistical things you have going on. Like, do whatever you want. At the end of the day, it's not gonna make me stop. Like, nothing you can do is gonna make me quit or stop. And thank goodness, like in cars, I have not experienced that. Like, people are so, they're a lot better because it's a car. Like,
Yeah.
they don't, you're not just a small person in a go-kart, you're a car, like, in front of them,
Yeah.
and they don't wanna wreck their car as well because it's so much more expensive too.
Yeah.
So, I have not experienced, any sort of, like, behavior like that in
Yeah.
cars, which is awesome and incredible to see. And I feel like people realize, like, okay, there are some girls that are like really good, here,
Yeah.
and they understand it and they respect you, which is incredible. But I definitely faced a little bit of that in karting, I would say.
Yeah. So, Charlotte, racing, are you still in school?
I am not in school at the moment, so I graduated early because
Okay.
I homeschooled, so I was able to graduate early. So
Okay.
now I'm taking a gap year,
Okay.
because I'm only 18 years old. So I am taking a gap year to focus on racing and to be able to travel every week and do what I want to do to
Yeah.
try to live out this career. So if I ever did go to school in the future, it would probably be some sort of trade school just to study a certain thing, and it would probably be engineering because, I would still want to be in motorsports, and it would be
Hmm.
any sort of like motorsports engineering because that is something that I'm also passionate about.
Okay.
But as of right now, it's just, 100% full focus on racing because that's what you have to do. If you want to become a professional, you're doing it every single week. The tennis players, they're out playing every single day. The football players, they're out training every single
Yeah.
day. So it's like you have to give it your all. You can't 50-50 it, and I'm so lucky that, I was homeschooled and I had the time, and I still do have the time to give it my all, so, I've been faced with, like, this incredible opportunity, so I'm for sure gonna make the most of it.
Absolutely. So, everybody has a bad day at the track. When you have a bad day at the track, how do you handle that?
Ooh, normally my family's there with me at the track, so whether it's my dad or my brother, they're a huge support. Having the right people around you, I feel like is, wins more than half the battle because, it all depends on your support system. And I'm so thankful that I do have a great support system around me. So I know that if I'm like having a bad day or I had a bad day or something's going on at the track or, whatever race happened that I didn't like it, I know that whether it's my dad or my brother or even my sister, I'll be able to reach out to anyone. And I feel like, the people that you surround yourself with can really get you through the hard times. And then I feel like also just kind of like taking a moment, even though, because it gets so hectic at the track, I feel like sometimes you forget to like that you can step away for a second. You can go in the trailer, you can go in the hauler, just take a moment to yourself,
Hmm.
like whether it's just laying down, reflecting, like and just kind of stepping back from whatever the situation may be, that also like really helps, and you don't realize that you needed it until like you step out of the trailer from like that 5 minutes of silence that you just had and you're like, I feel a lot better about what just happened now that I just kind of took time to step back from this like chaotic environment.
Yeah. Yeah. Good advice for other people to do the same. So let's say it's race day. Do you have a routine? Are you superstitious? You always wear the same socks? I always eat at McDonald's for breakfast. What might be your race day routine?
Ooh, okay. In terms of superstitions, I actually don't really have many. Like, I'm not crazy superstitious. I'm not like, oh, I need to do this and this and this before I get in the car. Sometimes I'll listen to music, but lots of the time, like, I'll just study. Like, I'll visualize like the track and I'll visualize like the perfect lap kind of that I want to do. Take time to just close my eyes and really think about that. I'll study the track map, I'll study my video, and I'll just really try to like get everything in my brain, that I need to think about, whether it's like a certain braking zone or how I want to start the race or like who I'm around, what do they drive like? So, just really kind of like getting in the zone, looking at my own stuff, looking at my video, the track map, and everything that I need to do. I'd say that's something that I do a lot before the races. And also just like deep breathing. Like when I'm in the car, like we're, getting ready to go out, I will do like all sorts of deep breathing things, these deep breathing exercises. Sometimes I'll like clench my fists super tight and then like release it, and then just kind of like do that because it works. It feels good. It's like you clench up like all this, tense energy that you have building up, and then you just release it and let it go, and take a deep breath. And that works for me as well. So
Yeah. Yeah. Good advice as well. I'm not sure if I asked you this. What's your favorite part of being involved in motorsports?
oh, can I say everything? Well, Um, obviously, I'd say the people are so incredible. Like, you realize the more that you get into racing, it's like everybody's connected in some way and everybody knows someone. And it's just like this one big family. Like, you all understand each other on this different level, I feel like. And the bonds and the connections that I've made are like no other. Like, all my friends that I have in racing, it's like they're not even friends, they're family. Like, the family that you make, because you go through so much together. You go through the highest of highs and you see each other at your best and you see each other at your worst.
Hmm.
So it's like you become so vulnerable. And I feel like, in other aspects of life, you don't really get that. But in racing, it shows like all of your sides and it really grows, that connection to the people that you're with, and then like when you do have good days, you have great results. It just makes that like even sweeter when you have, that incredible team and that incredible group of people that you
Hmm.
share it with.
Yeah. I hear that's the answer that I get probably 90% of the time or more is the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so if you had somebody come up to you at at a race or something and say, my daughter or son wants to get started in racing, are you going to encourage them that racing is a good sport, especially for a girl to get started in? And then how should they get started?
100%. I think if it's something that they're passionate about, they should 100% pursue it. No questions asked. Obviously give them a bit of rundown of just what I did, like starting go-karting if the kid's young enough, which most of the time they are. Sometimes I've had like little kids come up to the car, they're like really young, and I'm like, maybe you want to wait a little bit for go-karts. But yeah, I just say like look up tracks in your area, look up go-karting tracks, or maybe they're a bit older, look up car tracks. Like you just really have to immerse yourself in the environment, and because so many people at the track will be willing to help you. So if you just go there and you just check it out, even if you're a bit unsure, you're like, we're not sure if we want to get into racing, we're not sure yet, just go and check it out. Go to your local go-kart track, go to your local racetrack. There will be so many people there that will want to help you and, help you find the right path. And who knows, maybe you get in a go-kart and you're like, ooh, this isn't for me, but I still love motorsports. Well, then there's still going to be people there, like the mechanics, the engineers that will, be willing to help you out and explore like other pathways. You just have to get your foot in the door. So
Yeah.
that would obviously be the biggest thing. that I say. And then if they're passionate about racing and passionate about go-karting, like they get into go-kart and they love it, then awesome. Like sign up just for your local league, like throughout the state. It does not have to be big. You do not need to start big whatsoever. Just do what you feel like. Start with any local karting series that's kind of like near your area, and just let it build from there.
And most of those places have try-in rides,
Yeah,
or
yeah. They
that's
have like arrive and drives where you can just show up and, no really big commitment. Just show up, drive. If you like it, keep going. If you don't, then hey, you tried.
yeah, that's a great way to do it. A lot of people leave there and go straight to buying a cart.
Yeah, exactly. So it starts things for a lot of people.
Yeah, it does for sure. So, what's been the best advice that someone has given you,
Ooh.
or has anybody given you any good advice?
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of good advice over the years. I think actually some of the best advice I've kind of been given was, so 2 weeks ago I was racing at Daytona in a WRL event. It was an endurance race, and it was in a new car, a car that I haven't driven, and I was with these like other really good girls. It was a team of girls, which was awesome, and they had so much experience. And one of the girls, Laura Hayes, she gave me this really good like tip: just keep your eyes up, not just like obviously looking towards the next braking zone and everything, but just in general. Like, obviously, and I realize, like, when I keep my eyes up, your hands follow your eyes in
Hmm.
racing. So if I'm looking exactly where I want to go, that's exactly where the car is going to go, and it seems like such a simple fix, but it's so true. And that helped me so much. And not just on track, but off track too. Keep your eyes up, keep your head up. Like, no matter what happens, if something happens that you weren't happy with, you had a bad session, you had a bad race, just keep your eyes up. Like, you have
Yeah,
to keep your eyes up and fixed on where you want to go. You can't let your sights wander, because then your hands are going to follow, your head's going to follow, you're going to follow where you're looking. So just always keep looking up, always keep, moving forward. You can't let the little things, upset you and get to you, because where you look is where you're going to go,
yeah,
not just in the car, but out of the car as well. So I think that was huge, and that really stuck with me. And it's something that like really helps, and I feel like works with me. Like if I'm getting flustered, you know, I'm just like, eyes up, Charlotte. Keep your eyes up, just so
that's even true when you drive a car down the road.
yeah.
So you're driving down the road, and then you see a deer or something, and you look
Yeah,
over, and there goes your hands.
exactly. So I feel like it's really one of those things where it's like applicable almost in any scenario.
Yeah.
So
So, do you have a favorite race memory so far? It could be good or bad.
I think it probably was 2 weeks ago racing at Daytona. That was my first time at that track. And I mean, I grew up, watching races there, watching NASCAR race there, watching the 24 hours there. So to actually get to step foot on that place, not just as a spectator or a viewer, but as a racer, and like driving that first lap around Daytona International Speedway and feeling like the banking, how steep the banking is there, I was like, wow, I was probably feeling every single emotion you could feel inside the car. It was just such a cool, like, pinch me moment. It was kind of one of those things, it's like, okay, I'm making it. Like, I am doing this. This is my dream. I'm actually driving it, like, this track that I've dreamed of driving it for years, and it was so cool too, like at night, like when the sun goes down and they turn the lights on, it's
Uh-huh.
like the place just came alive. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
how is this real? So that was for sure like one of the coolest experiences of my life.
Yeah, I love Daytona. It's a beautiful place to be in, especially at night.
Yeah.
Now, Charlotte, you're the social media age. So, how do you use social media to promote yourself? We talked about, we have to promote ourselves. We have to have a brand and share our brand. So, how do you do that? And then, like, what platforms and how could people follow you?
Yeah, so my main social media platforms are TikTok and Instagram. And I've actually just recently started my Instagram following has been getting a lot better, and it's something that I've been working on. And honestly, it's just a matter of like finding some trends and some things that maybe your peers are doing, or like inspiration. And then it's so simple. Like I feel like people try to make social media and content creation seem so hard, when it really isn't. It's very simple. Take a few clips, whether it's a clip of you walking to the car or a clip of you at the race, and kind of be creative with it. You could add like, a caption or a saying, and just kind of make this like jumble of a reel or a video, that kind of like highlights a few of the aspects of who you are, what you do, and like have like a little catch with it. And then you put it out there, and it actually draws in like a very decent crowd. Like
Mhm.
one of the videos that I posted on TikTok, it was so random. Like it was just, it was me outside the car and then me driving the car, and it got almost like 47,000 views for just simple things like that. And it's like you just have to do it and like put yourself out there. And like I was scared. Like I did not really want to post on social media at first because I'm like, oh, that's scary. But it's like you have to. And at the end of the day, you cannot worry about what other people are gonna say because it's like other people understand. Like social media, as we talked about, has been such a useful tool for drivers these days. So it's like the more you see others post, you're like, this is it. Like this is what you need to do. You need to be kind of like the next big thing, getting yourself out there. And all it takes is just, a few good clips of the car, clips of yourself, kind of like put them together in a clever way and, just keep posting and be consistent with it. Because it's like not something may not blow up like the first time. You just have to be consistent with it. Consistently post, kind of make a schedule of when you're going to post, what you're going to do, and just stay at it because it will work, eventually. You just have to, keep pushing yourself and keep getting yourself out there.
Yeah, a couple girls that, well, of course, Haley Deacon was really good at it, but a couple other girls that have been really good at that, and I love what you said about it as well. Be consistent. You have to do it. Are Taylor Cool, Kuehl, from the
Yes.
Arizona area. Do you know Taylor?
Yeah, I've seen her online. Yes.
Okay, she's really good at it. So is Kylie Glick.
Yeah, she's very good at it.
Very good. And so, and the thing is, Charlotte, that people can always find your race results and those kinds of things, but they want to know who you are. And I
Exactly.
think the thing, not to don't put your drama on there, which I know you don't, but a lot of people do. People don't want to see your drama. They want to see you walking into your favorite restaurant and then a picture of your favorite meal, or they want to see you going to, getting on an airplane with your dad and saying, hey, did you know my dad was a pilot or is a pilot, blah blah, things like that. Do you
Yeah.
have any pets? They want to see you with your pets. um, all those kinds of things, or a TikTok with, I love to go to Bucky's.
Oh my
And
gosh, yes.
so I have my cup that I've had for probably almost a year now. It's the only cup I use. It's bigger than most and it holds the ice longer. And so, people want to see, who are you? What do you like? That kind of thing. And a lot of
Exactly.
people, I think, forget that they don't want to just see you in a car going around a track,
Yeah,
right?
like, you have to show some personality, like, you're not just a robot. Like, you put on the helmet, I
Yes.
feel like we all look like robots, and that's kinda what people think. It's like you're not just this vanilla
Yeah.
driver with, like, people love it when they get that depth and that personality and someone that is worth following along with. Because it's like, yeah, you can be a good driver, but if you have, like, no personality, no likability whatsoever, it's like
Hmm.
you have to show kind of the side of you that, people don't get from just a
Yeah.
simple post saying how the weekend went or something. So you do have to, yeah, get creative, like with certain things on how to get yourself out there and how to say, like, hey, this is who I am. I'm not
Yeah.
just a race car driver. Like, this is my personality. This is what I do. So,
Yeah. Perfect. Well, Charlotte, is there anything we haven't talked about that we need to share about you or your racing or anything at all?
well, I do need to add with the Bucky's thing. My family, we are obsessed with Bucky's. Literally, that is the stop. Like, whether it's a road trip or, oh my gosh, probably the amount of times that we went to Bucky's when my dad and I were driving out to Alabama with our car. And then when we were just staying there, like out east, that is our spot. So I, I'm
So,
at home with the Bucky's merchandise and all that.
you're a Bucky's fan when you're going to do a road trip, and one of the first things you Google is Bucky locations.
Yep,
I mean,
nearest Bucky's.
I'm sorry. The food
Yep.
is good there. The
Oh
restrooms are
my gosh,
clean.
yes.
They have great merchandise, even for my
Yes,
dog. And yeah, we love Bucky's for sure.
100%. Like
You
we
know,
were, there was actually one in Florida a few weeks ago, and one of our film guys that was with us, he'd never been to Bucky's. So we're like, oh my gosh, are we about to introduce you to Bucky's? Like,
yeah. So, there's a few things. I know I told you, my daughters live in your area in Arizona and I live in Michigan. And so there's always a few things that when I go to Arizona, I have to do. And so um, there's not a Bucky's in Phoenix, but there is In and Out. I have to go to In and Out. We used to not have Chick-fil-A. Now we do, but I used to always have to go to Chick-fil-A. And, there's just some things there that I don't have in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And so, your location, you always have those places that mean a lot to you. But
yeah, exactly, exactly.
yeah.
And actually, they're making a Bucky's in Arizona. They're making it in like Buckeye, and I think it's literally going to
Really?
be the biggest Bucky's like on the planet. Like it's going
They
to be
say that every
huge.
time they build one. Every time they
I
build
know,
one,
and
it's
they
going to
do
be
just
the
get
biggest
bigger,
one. They're
but
just big.
there is one coming to Arizona, so
That's awesome.
I'm excited about that.
I was just in Colorado for several days visiting my sister. She lives in Berthard or whatever. Anyway, there's a Bucky's about 15 minutes from them, but we were so busy, I never even got there. I can't believe I didn't go there, but I didn't. But I'll be back there. But I'll definitely be able to go to the one in Arizona because Buckeye's not that far. When my husband and I lived in our RV a couple winters so that we could be out close to the daughters and the grandkids, and we lived in Surprise, and so you could just go from Surprise right up to Buckeye, and it's not that far. But yeah, that's great. I love that too. So, anything else you want to share at all, Charlotte, before we hang up?
Well, I'm gonna think. Honestly, just, follow your dreams. Like do what you're passionate about and you can't be scared. Like there's gonna be so many people that like, you know, they try to judge you and they try to say things like, "Oh, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Are you sure you want to do this?" Like, you should have a second option, a second plan. And it's like you're never gonna know if you never even try. So
Mm-mm.
it's like you can't be swayed by what other people have said. And it's like, okay, just because you didn't make it doesn't mean that I'm not gonna make it.
Yeah.
So it's like don't let anyone or anything hold you back. And I feel like just like having that, tunnel vision of your eyes set on where you want to go, what you want to do, and not letting anyone kind of like interrupt you and getting in the way, that is huge. And just kind of having the perseverance, because it's tough. Like it's tough to make a career with whatever you want to do or whatever you're passionate about. It's and you're gonna have more bad days than good,
Yeah.
but having that perseverance just to like get through it, and not being swayed by what other people think of you, like is just huge and something that I would just, say to kind of everyone.
Yeah. Good advice. Very good advice and a good way to end the show, Charlotte. So, thank you so
Awesome.
much for being on with me. If you want to hold on just a second after we stop recording, then we'll finish out our day. So, thanks again for being on.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
If you're looking to buy, sell, or trade the stuff that strokes your engine, anything from truck parts to classic and muscle cars, RVs to hot rods, and everything in between, then check out our official classifieds at racingjunk.com. Racingjunk.com is the world's #1 online racing and performance marketplace, the ultimate one stop shop where you'll find what you need to rock your ride. If it belongs in your garage, it's for sale on racingjunk.com. Log on to racingjunk.com to find the gear you're looking for, sell your extra stuff, keep up on racing news and tech tips, and more. Again, that's racingjunk.com. That's it for this episode of the Women's Motorsports Network podcast. We hope you've been inspired by the stories I shared today and feel more connected to the amazing community of women in motorsports. Remember, whether you're behind the wheel, in the pits, or cheering from the stands, your story matters. And together, we're driving change and celebrating every milestone. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who loves motorsports as much as you do. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for updates, behind the scenes content, and more incredible stories. So until next time, stay inspired, stay connected, and keep racing through life. This is the Women's Motorsports Network podcast, where every woman's story is worth celebrating.